You've seen how to work with some compound paths here. Let's do a few other things here. Now, I've kind of made a mess out of my shapes here, so I'm just going to get rid of them here. So just highlight them and press delete there. And I'm going to create two brand new shapes here. Again, nothing too terribly exciting here. So again, if you like that metaphor of the cookie and the dough here, so there's my cookie cutter over top of my dough. I will change the color of my cookie cutter so we can see it a little bit better here. The other thing too is you might want to zoom in just a little bit so we can get a closer look at what's happening here. Again, I just held down Control Spacebar or Command Spacebar on the Mac, and I'm going to highlight both of my shapes, and I'm not going to be using my pathfinders. I just wanted to show you that you can achieve some similar results using your Pathfinder palette here. So I'm just going to move this guy back over to the side. And with everything selected here, I'm going to head up to my Object menu, all the way down to Compound Path, and then Make. Don't forget your keyboard shortcut there if you like, Control 8 or Command 8 on the Mac. There's my compound path. Now, once I have a hole knocked in a shape, now what can I do? Well, you can do a couple of different things. First of all, I'm going to deselect just by clicking in some white space here. And then I'm going to switch over to my white arrow tool in my toolbox here. And with my white arrow tool selected, I can come back here and I can click on the edge of my cookie cutter here. And now I can begin manipulating the anchor points of my cookie cutter here. Here I have my direction lines here because I have some curved anchor points. So I can manipulate the shape of the hole, if you will. For example, something like this. I can also drag on the center point of the cookie cutter here to move it around inside the shape. Okay, so again, this is all white arrow tool here. Again, I can click on the edge of the hole and either manipulate the anchor points, the direction lines, or the paths themselves, of course. Or I can find that center point of the hole inside my shape and move it around that way. Okay, so there's a couple of things you can do there. What about the dough itself? Well, the dough itself is just a normal regular shape. I'll deselect here just by clicking in some white space and then click back onto the edge of my dough and manipulate it just as if it were a normal regular shape, because that's really what it is. It's just a regular normal vector shape here, no big deal. So at any time after I've knocked a hole in a shape, I can come in here with my white arrow tool, manipulate the dough, manipulate the cookie cutter. So hopefully fairly straightforward here. I head back to my black arrow tool, and now I can manipulate the entire object just by clicking anywhere inside it here, move it around, resize it, rotate it, all the normal things that I can do with a regular Illustrator object. Now, where might you use compound paths? There's all kinds of different applications. In fact, just while I was doing that with you, I had the idea for creating some kind of a nut that might be sitting on the end of a bolt here. So let's just do this very, very quickly. So I just drew myself a 6-sided polygon here. So there we are there. You can do the same thing if you like. And what I'll do here is switch over to my ellipse tool here. And I'm not even being careful here. I'm just going to quickly draw the circle or the hole that would sit inside the nut here. Maybe scale it up just a little bit, something like that. I'm really not being careful with the alignment or anything like this because I'm going to highlight everything here. And then up on my control bar at the top of my screen, I'm just going to use my alignment commands here to horizontally and vertically center everything. So there we are. If you're finding this a little bit confusing, I'll just change the color of the cookie cutter here, the object that's going to be used to knock a hole in the nut here. Grab everything. Do you remember your keyboard shortcut? Control 8 or Command 8 on the Mac. There's my nut. Now it doesn't really look like a nut here, but what I could do is over in my swatches palette here, I could come in here and maybe apply a different gradient or something like this to try and make it look a little more metallic here. But we'll be talking about gradients in a later lesson here. But that's sort of the idea here. You can use compound paths in a variety of situations. This is just one that happened to come to mind now.